You walk into your own home tonight and something feels different. Nothing is broken. Nothing is missing. No one has raised their voice. And yet the air feels thinner than it did a year ago. Your spouse answers in fewer words. Your child no longer runs to show you what they made today. Even the silence at the dinner table has changed. It used to feel like rest. Now it feels like distance. You tell yourself nothing is wrong. No war has touched this house. No betrayal, no scandal, no ruin. But something has been leaving this room for a long time. Quietly, one small moment at a time, and by the end of this story, you will know exactly what it is, because the old Stoics named it centuries ago. And almost no one applies what they taught. If a room in your life has ever gone quiet for reasons you couldn't name, stay with me a while longer. Here is what almost no one tells you about a peaceful home. It is not built by the absence of conflict. It is built or destroyed by something far quieter than conflict. Think of the last conversation you had with someone in your household. Was it a request? A reminder? A correction? Something left undone? Something said the wrong way? Something arriving a little too late? None of these moments feel like cruelty. That's what makes them dangerous. A man does not think of himself as harsh simply for pointing out what's true. A mother does not think she is wearing down her child simply by naming what could be better. But Seneca, in his letters, described a particular kind of household ruin, not sudden, not violent, but built entirely from good intentions, stacked one on top of another, each one a small withdrawal from a store of trust that was never being refilled. So ask yourself honestly before you keep watching, in your own home, is the ledger balanced, or is it only ever recording what's owed? Here is how peace actually leaves a home. Not all at once. Not with a slammed door. It leaves the way a person stops mentioning their day, because whatever they offer will only be measured and found wanting. It leaves the way a child stops running to show you what they've made, because there is no courage left in inviting another correction. It leaves the way a spouse stops suggesting a new idea, a new plan, a new evening out, because safety lives in sameness. And sameness never disappoints. One by one, without a single argument, everyone in a house can make the same private decision. It is safer to say less. We picture broken homes as loud, but most of them do not break loudly at all. They fray the way an old rope frays fiber by fiber, unnoticed until one evening there is no tension left holding anything together. And the cruelest part is this. The person doing the correcting rarely notices. They call the silence ingratitude. They call the distance a lack of appreciation for everything they provide. They almost never turn the lens on themselves. So if this is beginning to sound familiar, not as someone else's story, but as your own evenings, your own table, stay with me. Because what comes next is the part almost no one applies. Even people who quote Marcus Aurelius every single day. 5 rules, buried in the old letters. Here they are. The hidden rules. Understand something about the Stoics before we go further. These were not gentlemen who avoided hard truths. Marcus Aurelius commanded legions. Epictetus wore the chains of slavery before he ever wore the robes of a teacher. Seneca served an emperor who would one day demand his death. They did not believe peace came from silence or from avoiding what needed to be said, but they understood how truth must move through a household if it is to build trust, instead of quietly dismantling it. The first rule: correct the act and spare the soul. Epictetus taught that our suffering rarely comes from what happens to us, but from the judgment we lay on top of it. Saying you are careless is not the same as saying this arrived late. One corrects a moment. The other assigns an identity. A household can absorb 1,000 corrected mistakes. It cannot absorb being told again and again who it is. The second rule: not all silence is peace. Some silence is a verdict already passed. Marcus Aurelius warned against mistaking the absence of conflict for the presence of harmony. A house can look calm and be quietly dying beneath its stillness. Learn to hear the difference before the difference becomes permanent. The third rule: weigh what is good before you name what is lacking. This is not flattery. Seneca despised flattery as a corruption of character. This is proportion, a full and honest ledger, not one that only ever records debts. No soul survives being read only for its faults. The fourth rule: your family is not your command. It is your care. Epictetus divided the world into what is within our power and what is not. A spouse's warmth, a child's trust, A household's peace, these were never things to be extracted through correction. They are only ever given freely or withheld entirely. The moment you try to govern a family the way a commander governs soldiers, you guarantee you will never again receive what cannot be commanded. The fifth rule: tend the peace before you need it, not after it has already left. The Stoics practiced what they called the premeditation of loss preparing, the mind for what may be taken, long before it is taken. Applied to a household, this means tending to warmth on the ordinary days, not only after the fire has already gone out. None of this requires you to abandon truth or to stop expecting better from the people you love. The Stoics never asked anyone to lower their standards. They asked something harder: to lay down the comfort of being right in exchange for the far harder work of being present. So tonight, when you walk back into that room, listen closely. If it's quiet, ask yourself honestly which kind of quiet it is: peace or a verdict already passed. Tell me below which of these 5 rules found you tonight. And if this reached something in you, there is very likely one person in your life it was written for. Send it to them before their own silence has time to settle in. And follow Working Truth for more life truth.